Ian D. Lockwood here from Lockwood College Prep, just with a quick sort of breaking news announcement on the heels of a webinar that I did last night, joined by our head SAT and ACT tutor, Marissa Unerberg, where we were talking about test optional policies. When should you submit? When should you not submit? And one of the points that I made was that college admissions officers would rather see test scores. So this morning, Yale University announced that they are no longer test optional. They are something called test flexible, meaning that they would prefer the SAT or the ACT, or in their absence, AP tests, or I think one other test. I can't remember. But just like Marissa and I were talking about last night, the thing about test scores is that they are predictive for a number of ways. Number one, there's so much grade inflation that it's pretty hard for admissions officers to determine whether someone is actually qualified to do the work at that particular schools, whereas the SAT and the ACT are better predictors. Of course, they're not perfect, but another big reason that I found was pretty interesting, as other colleges in the past announced, such as Dartmouth, is that the whole purpose of the test optional policies was to expand diversity and access to underprivileged students who perhaps didn't have resources to hire high-priced tutors or high-priced college consultants. Ahem. However, what the actual results were in opposition to these goals, which were to actually suppress the number of minority and other underrepresented, underprivileged, under-resourced applicants. It seems the reason was that these applicants had lower scores than what they thought would be, good scores for Yale, Dartmouth, and whatever, and decided not to submit their scores. But the reality is that when an admissions officer at Yale and Dartmouth and many other schools, when they're looking at a complete application, they're considering things like, what access does this person have to tutors? So a score, for example, that's in the low 1400s from an underprivileged, under-resourced student who's applying to Yale might actually be a good score for Yale compared to a kid who went to, Choate or some sort of, fancy schmancy prep school. So let me just read a couple of quotes here before I wrap up. Okay, this is from the Dean of Admissions, undergraduate admissions. Simply put, students with higher scores have been more likely to have higher Yale GPAs, and test scores are the single greatest predictor of a student's performance in Yale courses in every model we have constructed. And that is that data, or that interpretation of data, shared by Dartmouth, shared by MIT, shared by, I believe, all the University of Florida state universities, so UF, FSU, etc. And this, I thought, was instructive. When students do not submit test scores, the admissions committee focuses on other elements of the student's file. For students attending well-resourced high schools, substitutes for standardized tests are relatively easy to find. Transcripts brim with advanced courses. Teachers are accustomed to praising students' unique classroom contributions, and activities lists are full of enrichment opportunities, he said in a statement. Increased emphasis on these elements, we found, have the effect of advantaging the advantaged. So it's just common sense, right? So people who attend resource schools or work with consultants, whatever, we all help them get an edge over other advantaged people, just plain and simple. However, that's just one set of applicants to these colleges. And the other set of people who don't have privileges, such as access to people like us and to high schools that have all sorts of resources, they have a different way of showing their merit, which I think is terrific. So what does this mean going forward? Well, what I said last night on the webinar is, first of all, everyone should try to get their scores as high as possible. And then on a case-by-case, day-by-day, game day decision, school-by-school decision, that's when you should decide whether to submit your scores or not. And it's a case-by-case basis. The other thing is, I think there will be more announcements from colleges along the lines of the Dartmouth announcement and the Yale announcement, and it's not only going to be the elite schools, because I think when everyone looks at their data, they're going to realize that the same thing, that the test scores are good predictors of academic performance in college, and that they will be able to diversify and expand their access to people who don't have the same resources, but will be able to demonstrate on the standardized tests that they have some sort of talent, that they're diamonds in the rough, so to speak. So interesting stuff. We'll be keeping an eye on this for you. That's the latest. And if you did not catch our webinar last night, I posted it on our I'm going to post it on our website, lockwoodcollegeprep.com/webinar. And you can also check out our courses for test prep. We have one starting next week for the ACT, and we have continuing ongoing courses that are online. We do one-on-one tutoring. Marissa and her students get great results when they put in the effort. So check it out if you are interested. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.